All right. So I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about my reading goal process for the year. I don't think I've really talked about my reading goal for the year. So now that we're at pretty much the tail end of the year, may as well talk about it. So first I'll introduce my reading goal, and then we'll talk a little bit more about where I'm at in my reading goal. So I wanted to challenge myself a little bit this year. Last year was my first year kind of getting back into reading after not really reading a whole lot since school, like high school. So I wanted to challenge myself, and so I set my reading goal kind of high at 100 books just to see if I could do it. And I really, really thought I could do it. So I have been chugging along, and if I get there, I get there. If I don't, I'm not going to be super upset about it. So, yeah, my goal is 100 books. It is the first week of October now, so we have October, November, and December left in the year. So, in our last 3 months of the year, and we're getting pretty close. So we'll see if I can finish that out. I'll talk a little bit more about where I'm at in that goal and how close I am to completing it now. So we'll jump right into that. So I have already read 61 books this year, which is absolutely crazy. I am currently reading my 62nd book of the year. Absolutely insane. I am amazed that I have gotten that far. I'm truly baffled. I wasn't sure if I would actually make it this far, but the closer I get to 100 books, I really, really want to try harder to get to that 100. So we're at 61 books, almost at 62 out of 100. And according to Goodreads, I have some notes here. So, according to Goodreads, that means I need to read 3 books a week for the rest of the year. And that sounds like a lot. So, I decided to break it down to see how much I need to read per month instead. So 3 books a week for the rest of the year, if each month has 4 weeks, would be 12-ish, like 12 or 13. But I calculated it out. Itchy, oh my goodness. I need 39 more books divided by the 3 months that are left in the year, 13 books a month to get to my 100 books. I historically can read 13 books a month. As of late, I have not been able to read that many books in a month. I started a new job that I have been working full time, and I have now signed up for a grad program, so I will also be in school full time. So we'll see how much I get to read with all of that going on. Once again, if I don't make it to 100 books, it's not the end of the world. Not sure if I will continue a reading goal next year or not yet, but we'll see. I'm not sure yet, but we'll figure it out. But I think what I'm going to talk about next a little bit is my strategy for how I plan to get through the rest of these books that I want to read to get to 100 books. So I'm going to see if I can get a good strategy going, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Okay, so some strategies that I have for getting to my 100 books are really just reading fast-paced books or books that I know that I can get through quickly. So a good example is A Certain Hunger is what I'm reading right now. I've been flying through this book. I started it a couple days ago and I'm almost done with it. It is such a good book. It is a horror book, and horror and thriller is what I've mostly been into like forever. And I tend to fly through them. So October being the time to read horror and thriller books is going to help me out a lot with getting through these. Now, another strategy that I also have is reading books. I'm going to use this one as an example. This is a book from one of my local libraries that I am reading for my monthly book club. Not only is it a thriller, it also has big text, which, you know, is a lot easier to read. It's easy on the eyeballs. It just easier to read. So this I will likely fly through. Now, is that cheating? Depends on who you talk to. I think some people would consider that cheating. I personally don't think that there is such a thing as cheating when it comes to reading. I think that however you decide to consume books is a way to consume books. If skimming through difficult passages is a way for you to consume books, then go ahead and do it. If you have to consume them through audiobooks, go ahead and do it. I don't really care. But that's another strategy. My third strategy, which is one that I have used in other videos and reading blogs, is novellas. I love novellas. This is one that I really loved. I read this so quickly. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke is I could not recommend it more. But very, very short. Just a cute little novella. These are perfect little, first of all, palate cleansers. Second of all, very quick reads. So it's a good way to get through some reading goals. I do not have a whole lot of novellas that I haven't read yet. I think I only have 2 on my physical bookshelf that I have not read yet. I do have some on my Kindle that I haven't read yet, but that's another strategy. My fourth strategy is reading more ebooks. I tend to read pretty quickly on my Kindle. I'm not sure why, but I just read pretty quickly on my Kindle in ebook format. So even just like on my phone, on my laptop, not sure why, I just read very quickly on a screen. So another strategy is to read a bunch of books on my Kindle. I have like almost 80 books on my Kindle that need to get read. So I have a bunch of novellas. I have a bunch of big books. My Kindle is going to be utilized for completing this reading goal. In November, I have a trip to Maine planned, so I cannot pack a ton of books in my bag. My boyfriend is not going to let that slide. So my Kindle will go with me, my charger will go with me, and my Kindle will go with me everywhere. And I will be reading as much as I possibly can. I will be reading a lot of Stephen King, because how can I go to Maine and not read Stephen King? But I believe those are my main strategies for getting this done. So those are my big strategies for trying to get this reading goal done. So now that we've talked about my reading goal, where I am, and my strategies for finishing my reading goal, I want to talk a little bit more about when I finish my reading goal. So we'll talk about that next. So when I finish my reading goal, I'm still not quite sure what to do with myself. My whole year reading has, I don't want to say centered around my reading goal, because I've been trying not to make all of my reading only about my reading goal. I don't want to be reading only to like go towards this goal. I want to read for fun, and I want to read because I love it. I just want this goal to be a challenge for myself. So I think that my plan for next year, instead of setting a reading goal for myself, because I know how my brain works and I know how I personally work, instead of setting a reading goal for myself, I don't want to upset myself by not being able to meet my goal, or pushing myself to read more books only to meet a goal. I just want to do like a reading tracker instead. That way I'm not kind of pushing myself to read for the wrong reasons. Not saying that I have been doing that. I've been making a very pointed effort to not do that. I have been very purposeful in not forcing myself to read only to meet a goal. I have been reading books that I love. I've been letting myself DNF books that I'm not enjoying. And I have really found a love for reading again by setting this goal for myself and letting myself read these books again. I have so many books now, and the start of last year, I had almost none of these books. If you came into my room at the start of last year, I had almost none of these. I could probably count on my two hands what of these books I actually had on my shelf. And I am so happy that I have found my love for reading again. It was always a big coping strategy of mine as a child. I dealt with a lot of anxiety and internalized emotions as a kid, and it was a big way for me to deal with all of that as a kid. It was kind of the only way that my parents really knew how to let me kind of have time to myself and have some quiet time to deal with all of that, was to give me some books and let me sit quietly and enjoy them. So I really found a love of reading through that. And it helps that I have parents that really have a love of reading. So being able to like come back to that and find my love for reading again has just been really, really amazing. And I'm really appreciative of that, and being able to just come be part of a community that encourages that and just welcomes people is absolutely amazing. And I really couldn't be happier. And I just don't know what else to say about it. I'm just so, I haven't been happier than I have been this past year in a long, long time. And I just really, really am glad that I was able to find my happiness again through something as simple as books and reading. And I'm so happy that I was able to kind of document my journey and bring you guys along on my journey. Yeah, you guys got to see me find my joy again and kind of find myself again. And I think there's something a little bit magical in that. So, yeah, kind of a emotional ending to this stupid little video. But yeah, that's my reading goal progress and where I plan to go with it next year. So if you know of any good reading trackers, please let me know. And where are you at in your reading goal progress? I would love to hear about it. Please let me know in the comments. I will see you next time. Bye.